Ah, Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Moga, and with me today is
Kiden Kii.
Kiden Kii. And today we're going to be talking podcast. So I have Kiden Kii, who is the founder of Junubia Girls
Talk podcast.
Talk Podcast. So we are going to talk about podcast, how to podcast, and Kiden will tell us all about herself. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Kiden, and I am going to go ahead and check whether we are actually live on Facebook.
Okay. Hello,
Uh,
everyone. I hope everyone's doing good. Thank you for having me. This is
yes.
amazing. This is so much fun. So, we're going to talk podcast today, how to start your podcast, how to find your voice, how to build a community. My name is Kiden Kii. I'm an artist and I'm just love media and entertainment and excited to talk with you today.
All right. Nice, nice, nice. So yes, we are live on Facebook, and today, by the way, you look amazing.
Thank you.
You
You
look so glam.
too.
Look at that makeup. we need to
You're
do
too
a
red.
we need to do a photo shoot afterwards, right?
Yeah, right?
All right. Cool, cool.
They call this na enjoyment.
Now enjoyment. We they enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. All right, all right. Nice, nice, nice. So, what is Junubia Girls Podcast?
Okay, thank you for that question. So, Junubia Girl Talks podcast, I like to think of it as a community, right?
Uh huh.
It's a community where we share stories, where we give insight, and where we really try to focus on personal growth and topics and subject matters that mean the world to us, that are important to us. There's not really a space that focuses on our unique stories, and so Junubia Girl Talks podcast is a space for that.
And by our stories, you mean girls from South Sudan.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Girls from South Sudan. Yes.
yeah, that's amazing. Um, so what gave you the idea that let me start this?
Okay. What gave me the idea was feeling like, you know what, it's a pandemic. I'm home. There's not much to do. That was like the initial thinking, right? And then I thought, you know what, how cool would it be if South Sudanese women had a platform where they could hear each other's stories?
Mm-hmm.
And from that was like in my mind, everything just kind of took off. And I was so fortunate to be able to get great interviews and talk to many different Genevias doing many different things and willing to share their stories and
Mm-hmm.
support and come on board. So that's why I said it's not just a podcast, but it's actually a community where we share different stories and educate each other. Like
Uh-huh.
we've had episodes on investing, episodes on friendships, on business, and different things like that. So it was really inspired out of just giving a platform to our stories during the
Okay.
pandemic.
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
Um, how where are your listeners from? Have you gathered that? Yeah.
that's actually a good question. So most of our listeners are based in the US,
Uh-huh.
and we have a few in Australia, some in Juba, and we're hoping to get more listeners in Juba because we also want to engage with our community of sisters down there as well. But for right now, the majority of our listeners are US, Canada, and a few in Australia.
Yes, yes. Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. So I just wanted to do some house business. We are recording this show, and my assistant, Asaneta, is gonna be recording on the camera. Um, record on the camera so that we will be able to have it for you later on YouTube. All
Awesome.
right. So that's great.
Yay.
So if you're just joining us, I am Dr. Noella Moga. I am the founder of Taste of South Sudan, and with me today is Margaret Kiden, she goes by Kiden Kii, and she is the founder of Junubia Girls Talk Show. So this session is supposed to be just like girls having a chat with each other,
Yes.
catching up and sharing our views for our viewers and all those people around the world who tune into our programs to learn from us, see from us, or just kind of find out our behind the scenes. Why do we do what we do? Um, how do you get to start doing it if you wanted to do it yourself? Okay, so we are also going to have some Sudanese tea. Okay,
Hey.
so I'm feeling a little thirsty, so I will get some going in a minute. But all right, so congratulations first of all, because when you first started, there really wasn't anyone doing that. There was no one doing a girls podcast. I mean, even now, the world over, there's so many podcasts focus on started by men and focus on men's issue and men's point of view. And when it comes to South Sudanese, first of all, there are very few people venturing into the space of podcasts in the first place. Now, when you talk about ladies doing podcasts, you may be the only one. You're the only one I know
Oh
doing that.
gosh, I hope not. We want to encourage more people to get out there, but thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So congratulations on that. Like you're
Thank
just
you.
a translator. You just said, I'm gonna do it, and then you started it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let me see. So you had this idea that you wanted to talk about podcasts to bring a
Hmm.
topic out that is relevant to South Sudanese women.
Yes.
So now, okay, you have the idea, you have the content. How did you get it from you speaking to where I can listen to it on my phone?
Awesome.
What was that process?
So that process was actually very interesting and fun to discover. And for those of you who are interested in starting a podcast, this part will really be great for you to pay attention to. So there is a platform called Anchor. And when you go on Anchor, they have multiple tools that you can use to basically start up your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have figured out those tools and how to create your topics, how to create your visuals, how to do your audio, how to do the editing, and produce it so that it's a full length episode. And so actually what our team is doing now is offering the service of helping other people start their podcasts as well, because we've unlocked code. And so we want to be able to share that with other people who want to talk about different things. So even though Junubia Girl Talks is about personal growth and just things related to females, maybe another Junubia wants to talk about sports, or another Junubia wants to talk about modeling. So we really want to work with people who would like to start a podcast and discuss other topics that maybe we're not covering, because we believe in diversity in voices.
Mm-hmm.
All of us Junubias are not the same. We're very different,
Uh-huh.
but what we have in common is our country and our flag. So, so that's one of the things that we wanted to share today is, hey, if you want to start your podcast about something, contact us and we can help you get started. But to answer your question, Anchor was a huge outlet, and they help you with distributing to all the other platforms to where now
Mm-hmm.
you can access it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other known ones.
So let me get it straight. So you
Oh,
oh, it's
it's
okay.
okay.
We're outside, y'all.
We
As you can
outside.
see. And Hunter the dog is having fun in the background. Don't ask me what he's doing. And then there are, of course, creatures like lizards around us. So, um, okay, what I understand about podcasts, right? You record and then you upload to Anchor, but it's not just you recording
Yeah.
because there's editing involved, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so, how did you gain the experience to deal with audio?
Hmm.
Because that I think that's something that sometimes people don't understand. Like if
Yeah.
I shoot a cooking video, um, it could take me 4 hours to shoot that video.
Yeah.
Just the preparation, the setup, and then going live.
Hmm.
And then it could also take me another 2 to 4 hours to edit it in the beginning,
Yeah.
especially because you have to cut some segments of. So, what is the process like for you?
Yeah, it's actually very similar to how you're talking about editing. So for us, when we record, we can have 60-minute length episode or 30-minute length episode, and you might say, okay, this is short, but the editing can take hours, maybe days. And to answer your question, Noella, how I got that experience was just through recording music. I got sort of a deep insight on how to mess around with vocals and different instruments and figure out how to copy and paste and trim and do different effects on audios and stuff like that. So having that foundation through just dealing with music, it made it easy to deal with the audio for podcasts.
Okay, so we just unlocked another talent. So you're a musician, is that right? Is
I
that what I'm hearing?
yes, I am, and I look forward to releasing some music soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I look forward to releasing some music soon. And I've always been a techie audio computer kind
Uh
of
huh.
person, so
Uh
it was
huh.
only natural for me to just keep growing in that space.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and we want to encourage more Junabios to get into that. You know, if you're into music, if you're into film, if you're into videos and stuff like that, like don't be afraid. You can learn these skills. We're living in 2022, and there's so many resources out there. There's people like us that can show you how to do this stuff. And I, what I'm so happy about is seeing so many of us on YouTube and doing different things. So these skills are definitely available for you to learn if you want to get into audio or video stuff as well.
And they're
Hmm.
transferable.
Yeah,
Once you learn how to do audio for music, you can mix audio for just about any media production, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you a funny story. Story time.
Uh huh.
So one of my very first experiences with actually learning how to trim audio, copy, paste, fade in, fade out, and all those stuff was actually DJing. So
Oh, you used to
yeah,
DJ?
yes, I did.
What?
So what I did was when I made my very first mix, which was I'll say it's like a reggae mix, and how I got that mix together, I had no idea how to work a control board. I had no idea what chord was what. All I knew is that I wanted to make a collection of songs in one project, I guess. So I started messing around with this software. I think it was called Audio Tech,
Uh huh.
and just playing around in there and kind of just going with my intuition. I was able to figure out how to put different pieces of music together to come up with a full length mix. And I shared it with my friends, and everyone loved it. It's still up on SoundCloud today. So that was like my very first, I guess, experiment with sound and how you can kind of maneuver and do cool things with the computer. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What name do you go by on SoundCloud?
The same Kiden Kii. Yeah.
Kidenki? Oh,
I
cool.
changed it a few times, but yeah, it's Kiden
Yeah.
Kii.
Okay, cool. That's
Yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
great to know. All right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so
Interesting.
just to piggyback off of what you were saying, audio is just one part of podcasting, of
Uh
course.
huh.
Then there's content creation. You want to figure out what do you want to talk about? You know, what do your listeners want to hear? What's important to your community, right? So at first, the podcast just started out with just thoughts that I had or topics
Mm-hmm.
that I thought were interesting to me or
Mm-hmm.
connecting with other Junabias and wanting to see what they wanted to talk about. Then over time, you kind of, when you're listening to your audience and you're in tune with them,
Uh
you
huh.
get to learn what topics they want to talk about, what topics are important to them, you know, what do they want to learn about and things like that. And that kind of helps you as a podcaster sort of curate your content to also your audience, like so then it becomes a nice flow of exchange between the two
Mm-hmm.
of you or
Oh,
three of you.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hmm.
Um. So right now, what are your audience telling you they want to hear about?
Relationships.
Relationships. Oh,
Relationships.
hot topic.
We have relationships. We also have there's a couple people based in Canada that they want to come on and sort of talk about the different youth movements that they have up there.
Uh huh.
So some youth topics as well, a lot of gender topics as well. We know there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things happening back home and just
Mm-hmm.
globally that I think is important to shed light to. But yeah, relationships, gender, and just youth movements and different things that the youth are doing across the
Yes.
diaspora.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That would be a good topic to have.
yeah,
Yeah. Um. Gosh, I can just see how useful that will be, because I if I look back to myself when I moved abroad, I was very young and I didn't have my community, right?
yeah,
And there was no YouTube then. I
yeah,
mean, Google was just getting started, internet was just getting started. So there was no YouTube, there was no radio. You couldn't hear other South Sudanese. And then if you move abroad, you're like in the United States, you'll find pockets of South Sudanese in different areas, right? They're all scattered. So you are growing up here thinking that your experience is singular and
yeah,
you can't find somebody to share that with, to
yeah,
even like these aunties, big sisters, they're not there because you're abroad, right? You're in a college in the middle of nowhere studying, and you're going through puberty, you're going through young adult life, and you don't have this network of women sisters to support you.
yeah,
Then some of your decisions, you're just whatever you're making them wrong.
yeah.
You're basing it on the wrong assumptions. You don't have all the right information. So I think this age is very powerful when we can use YouTube to just do that, disseminate information,
Yeah.
create awareness, create community. Yeah, so that would be a good one to have. You
Yeah.
should definitely talk about relationships, right?
For
Like just be
sure.
candid.
I know. I know. And I love that you said that too, because being candid is something that we pride ourselves on, and to
And
just,
with some South Sudanese
thank
tea.
you. Tune in for some more tea. um, yes, to your point about being candid,
Uh-huh.
we take pride in being candid and sharing our stories and our opinions too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another part is sharing a story is one thing, but also sharing your opinion. You're stepping into a whole nother realm of, okay, this is what I'm thinking and I'm standing behind it. And
Yes.
yeah, and I think as we grow, because we're also still very new. We're
Yes.
2 years old actually this month. So
Yes.
cheers. um, as we grow, finding our voice and standing strong behind our opinions and our views is something that we're getting comfortable with, and we hope that other people are inspired by that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think you're talking about like finding your voice, right? Because you can be everything for everyone,
Correct.
or else you won't be you.
Yeah.
So um and some things you don't have an opinion on, that's fine. But when you first start out, like you said, finding your voice, to me that's what it means. Like being
Yeah.
authentic, being yourself, um having your own principles and knowing what they are. And maybe they change, but at that moment, you're willing to stand up and say, this is what I believe,
Yeah.
this is what I think. My conviction might be wrong, but this is who I am, this is what
Yeah.
I believe in. So what does that mean to you, finding your voice?
Mm. Wow, that's actually a really good question too, because when I think about it, finding your voice is an internal thing and also an external thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's an internal thing because there's work you have to do internally
Uh-huh.
to shed layers of things that
Uh-huh.
were there before, right?
Right.
And then it's external because you're dealing with audio, so you're like, should I talk like this or should I talk like this? So you kind of, so it's both things,
Oh my
right?
gosh, I
And
didn't think about that one. Yeah.
so I say, salam alaikum, salam alaikum. It's think about it like a voice acting sort of.
Yes.
So there's an element of voice acting, and then if you're someone that's like, you know what, it kind of also, let me just kind of step back. It depends on your style of podcasting, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're like, man, I'm just going to get on this mic and just shoot the reel, then
Yes.
you're just going with your real voice.
Yes.
But if you want to deal with it sort of like a television presenter or a radio presenter, then that's when you kind of transition into some of the voice
Ah.
acting.
Uh-huh.
And it's getting comfortable with that as well.
Uh-huh.
And I think for me, the biggest thing was just shedding those inner layers, shedding those layers that were probably stopping me from using my voice. And it's a constant work, and you're growing as the community is growing, you're also growing. I think that
Mm-hmm.
a good podcast is growth for the listener and the podcaster. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, when you said finding your presenting voice. So my children tell me that, and I don't want to admit it, but yeah, I bring it on when I go live. I actually bring it on whenever I go on any show or
Yeah.
whenever I shoot any video, because I just find deep within myself, and I
Yeah.
find the energy and the enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think throughout um, my work with Taste of South Sudan, with
Yeah.
all my video taking,
Mm-hmm.
I have actually become very comfortable on camera,
Yeah.
being spontaneous, sharing my voice, making eye contact,
Yeah.
um, or even letting the thoughts flow.
Yeah.
Versus when I first started, I was so uptight. I would write down my script, and then I'll do
Yeah.
retakes. I'll do
Mhm.
retakes because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I veered from what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But now it's like I just shoot it once, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna go publish this. Yeah, we don't do
Yeah.
retakes anymore. we go with it because we
For sure.
trust our voice. I
Yeah.
trust my voice now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wow.
I just want to point out that this is
Uh-huh.
a full circle moment because the podcast is 2 years old this month. And I don't know how many of you guys know that are watching. Dr. Noella Moga was actually our very first interview. So it's a full circle moment that we're celebrating 2 years. And
Yay!
you're also, now you're interviewing me.
Uh-huh.
So it's beautiful. And I think what we take away from creating content, whether you're on YouTube or on audio, is having fun with it, right? And just watching your content on YouTube, I've seen how you just started having fun with it, laughing, dancing, engaging with your audience. And sometimes you will go through a phase where you want to get everything perfect and you want to not mess up and you might be a little nervous, but you'll overcome that too. And you'll learn, you know what? My audience is here for me and they support me and they support this community and what we're doing. So let me just have fun with it. And you just cameras roll.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that makes people want to tune in even more.
Yeah.
Because if you're just a robot, yeah. And so, okay, cool, cool. I love how we're just bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah.
Because you said about having fun with it, and that resonated with me
Mhm.
since I think so. When I first started doing my YouTube cooking series, right?
Yeah.
I was having so much fun. I was dancing on camera. I would have different ideas,
Yeah.
and I didn't even have any history to say, "Wow, that was a good one. How do I match that?"
Yeah.
Like when you're starting out, you just have nothing to go by.
Yeah.
And don't even look at other people's stuff because they are light years ahead of you.
Mhm.
So you just start out with what you have
Yeah.
and then you grow on from there.
Mhm.
And then one of the things, of course, that I know happens to creatives or to artists, now that I can figure myself as an artist,
Yes.
is your confidence level. Your
Yeah.
confidence level can wax and wane depending on what's happening inside of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, huh, yeah. So that's interesting
Yeah.
because if you're not having a good time in your life or you're dealing with other stresses sometimes,
Mhm.
you are not able to bring out the energy
Yeah.
for the rest of the world because you're just like survival mode, right?
Yeah.
So part of this all is also a journey of healing and growth
Yeah.
because the more for you to keep doing these things, like yeah, that's right. Because let me ask you that question, right?
Mhm.
If you want to talk, if you want to touch on some hot button topics, it's almost as if you, the presenter, you have to deal with your own issues first.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk to people, for example, about their childhood trauma, right?
Mhm.
If you're still triggered by your own childhood trauma,
Yeah.
then you may not be of any help because you can't even come out and speak about your own. Not necessarily that you have to speak about your own, but you
Yeah.
can't even be in that room because that topic is very triggering to
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
So it's kind of you have to deal with those problems that you have,
Yeah.
and it's not like okay, A to B there's a solution, but
Yeah.
you have to be comfortable with it to be able to talk about it.
Mhm.
And this is why I think for a lot of people there are certain topics that you are going to just avoid because you're just going to be like, okay, this is a no-go place for me.
Yeah.
Like you're going to set your own boundaries on camera, right?
Mhm.
Like
That's true.
I will not touch on this
Yeah.
because this doesn't align with my values, or I'm not ready to speak about that.
Yeah.
Or if somebody asks you a personal question and you're like, well, hmm, that's close to me. I can't
Mhm.
share that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you touched on a lot of really great things just now. Just piggybacking on how do you know like hot topics and things like that. One thing I take pride on is that we share content from an authentic place, right?
Yes.
We're not looking for views or followers, even though it's nice. So follow if you're not already following. But go ahead, click that subscribe button,
Yeah,
please.
yeah,
And
yeah.
thank you for tuning in. But we pride ourselves, Grace and I, who's also the co-host on Junabia Girl Talks podcast. We pride ourselves on choosing content and creating content from an authentic place, right?
Mhm.
If we see something that we're inspired by, we're like, oh yeah, we need to talk about that. If we both are going through something and we're like, you know what, this might be something good to highlight because if we're going through this, maybe somebody else is going through this,
Uh-huh.
then we'll choose to highlight it. And I think that's important too because your audience can tell when you're being authentic or when you're just doing it for clout, I guess.
Yes.
And so I love that piece of it. So when we're ready to touch on, let's say, relationships
Yes.
or touchy subjects that are specific to our community, we will
Mm-hmm.
touch on those when it's coming from an authentic place.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tip to future podcasters or YouTube creators and stuff like that. Always share content from an authentic place. And if you don't feel inspired, that's also okay, because your community is going to ride with you. They're there. They're going to look at your videos. They're going to support your posts. So sometimes we do go, 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 which is good for engagement and all that stuff.
Yes.
But if you don't feel inspired, know that it's okay to take a break or to rest. Our podcast has taken lots of breaks. And because we understand that, we're humans and things
Yes.
happen, and, the pandemic happened and all this crazy stuff. So
Yes.
definitely share content from an authentic place, and I think it'll be good.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I love that. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that yeah, you're touching on like mental health of creatives, right?
Yeah. Oh
Um
yeah.
because see, I'm going to talk about money. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ah, some people go into this because they see somebody who has gotten very successful on YouTube and they
Yeah.
say, I want to be as successful as that person. I want
Mhm.
my video or I want my channel to gain 100,000 subscribers or
Yeah.
something like that. Well and good, but um, it is important for us to know that do not become a slave to the system.
Mm.
And excuse me for using such a strong word, but just I think just examine where it's coming from. As you said,
Yeah.
if you're empty, you cannot keep giving. So if you have a
Yeah.
schedule, for instance, you want to release a video on YouTube every week, right? Um, well, what if the pressure gets too great? Like you just can't do it. You don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Do you stress about getting that release? I would say no, because they don't really pay that much. They don't even pay
I
at
know.
all.
The pressure is getting worse. The
So
meme that
don't pressure yourself.
no,
Take
don't.
the break, go deal
Yeah.
with what you need to deal with in life, and then when you come back, you can have more
Yeah.
energy.
Oh
And
yeah.
then here's another tip I'll give people, right? If you start getting really successful where you're having a lot of content, you're having a lot of viewers, and you have a lot of interest, then it's time for you to expand. You have to add other members to your team. Maybe you can add a virtual assistant or somebody to help you with audio, video processing, with
Yeah.
posting, or with social media posting, because this can become a full time job to some people, right?
Absolutely.
I know most of us are not affected that way, but in the US, where YouTuber has become a profession, we hear of a lot of youth that get to be so
Yeah.
stressed
Oh yeah.
because they felt like they had to release every 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you can even tell sometimes when they just start releasing just for the sake of releasing, like you're just like
Yeah. Yeah.
like you have nothing new to add, you have nothing to say, but you're just there.
Yeah. Yeah.
um so yeah, so
Yeah.
this is just
I think what's so inspiring about your platform too, Noella, is that it is a community. It's literally a community. You have supporters and it's welcoming and things like
Mhm.
that. And I think for um that's such a good formula to follow or even look at and replicate, like, oh wow, like when I focus on building community, then it does come from authenticity. It doesn't come from I got to get these views, I got to get these likes, I got to buy these followers, or things like that. And then the second point I wanted to make is taking care of your mental wellness, mental fitness, mental health, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
because you don't want to be that person that's on the mic or on the camera saying, "Oh, do this, do that," and then you don't really have your laundry sorted out.
Uh-huh.
So, not to say that people have to be perfect, but it's the constant um, self improvement, self development, working on your inner issues and kind of building from there. That's what makes you a good content creator. Whether it's with cooking, whether it's with digital, whether it's podcast, whatever it is that you're doing. What makes you a good content creator is if your time off camera is when you're working on the stuff that matters the most, right? So yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it just dawned on me that I did build a community. It really didn't dawn on me for a long time.
5 years later, that's
But
okay.
but I mean I did. Yeah.
That's all
Oh
right.
my
Yeah.
gosh, that is it's so special.
And you know what's so amazing too? We grew up watching women like Oprah, right? On TV.
Yes, we
And I
did.
was always inspired by her and
Yes.
her poise, how she was able to give great interviews. And that's also like an inspiration in the back of my head, right? Like, I'm not aspiring to be Oprah. We're not aspiring to be Oprah, but her example is what sort of inspires us subconsciously, right? And we see how she was authentic, on camera, Black woman, daytime television, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being women from South Sudan, creating and knowing that we're representing a whole nation, whether you're
Yes.
on the soil or you're here, that's a lot. And I
Yes.
think even with our successes, it's like don't forget to cherish those moments where you're actually winning, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we're like, go, 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 content, content, content. Like, if you're winning, celebrate your wins. If it's small, if it's big, celebrate those wins, because the media and content game is not easy. And
Uh-huh.
it's so easy to focus on numbers, numbers, numbers. Um, but we're putting in work that's important, that's going to inspire generations to come. And so we should enjoy it while we're here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And let me thank you for watching right now. Sensas, hello. Grace, yes, you are right. Our culture, oh yeah, our culture does cripple us. Right now, there are certain topics that if you talk about them, you're just like taboo. One of the funny things, they'll say that you are sharing our dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and Rosemary, hello, thanks for joining.
Hi.
Um,
Yeah.
so let me pivot and talk about money, right?
Hmm.
Is there money in podcasts? I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. That's a good question. Money in podcasts. Yes, there's absolutely money in podcasts. What I want to say, sort of as like a preface to what I'm about to say, is I did a lot of research and kind of read that you never want to monetize your community too early. So that's another tip for future creators, whether you're on YouTube or whether you want to do YouTube or do podcasting. Yes, you do these things because eventually you want to make money, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you never want to try and monetize with your community or your audience too soon, right? It could show that you're just in it for the money, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you just want to get them to buy a product or
Mm-hmm.
get them to buy your tickets or your course or whatever like that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I had that in mind, I started thinking like, okay, so let's just create content and just kind of go with the flow and see where it takes us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm happy to say that like now Grace and I are at a place where we're like, okay, we've done some work and we're ready to monetize.
Mm-hmm.
And how you do that is through various different channels, which if you want a podcast, connect with us and we'll tell you how. Um, there is various channels you can go through to monetize the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have brand sponsorships, I guess, when they are doing advertising for brands. That's one way to make money off podcasts. Other podcasts make money through merch. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're a really hot podcast and people run to tune into them. What's that big one on YouTube with Joe Budden? I can't think of the name. It was they're really popular. It's like a hip hop podcast.
Uh,
Um,
um,
anyway, they're really popular on YouTube, and they make their they sell a lot of merch for their podcast,
mm-hmm.
and so that's just one way. Um, so to answer your question, yes, there is money in podcasting. I think you have to also manage your expectations. Like, I'm not going to get into it and make X amount of money in this amount of time. You manage your
Yes.
expectations and then you also try to build slowly. So, as we enter that new venture, we'll definitely be happy to share more
Mm-hmm.
with other people about that. And
Okay.
we're excited to do that too. So.
Cool, cool. I'm happy for you for that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So let me try and recap. I think
Hmm.
some of the ways, right? So you sell merchandise.
Hmm.
You can actually create a walled garden, which is this content here is free for everybody.
Hmm.
But if you want the deeper dive, you need
Yeah.
to pay to access it.
Yeah.
And then another method, ads. You can run promotions
Hmm.
from other people on your content. And then another one is actually a whole company can sponsor an episode instead
Yeah.
of just ads. Like they can sponsor an episode, so you
Hmm.
can get ads from Google or from,
Yeah.
for example, from YouTube. But there's one where a company can just say, okay, don't run any Google ads. I will pay you for that content, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And then, of course, you can sell a course as you're trying to teach
Hmm.
other people how to do this or sell a
Yeah.
service.
Don't
Um,
give all our secrets out. I'm just kidding.
Ah,
But yes, you're
well,
absolutely
you
right.
know what? It's not the idea, it's the execution.
Yes, yes.
So
Hmm.
somebody could learn about it, but if they don't have the execution, they may not even know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a minute and restart the video,
Okay.
but you can keep sharing
Okay.
those tips, okay?
Awesome. Yes.
Ah,
Thank you, everyone that's tuning in as well. So, as far as making money from podcast, I think for Genevia Girl Talks, we're very intentional about being African centered, not just South Sudan, but just working with just African content and pumping African content and things like that. So when when it comes time to think about how you want to make money through your podcast or your platform, you want to think about who you want to work with, right? Do I want to work with major corporations? Do I want to work with just any and everybody? What kind of brands do I want to affiliate with and things like that? So it's good to know um, your intention as far as making money and how you want to make the money. Once you have that as a baseline, then that should guide you through different conversations.
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, uh, so let me tell you that when I first put out my first YouTube video,
Mm-hmm.
um, when I got my first 8 subscribers, I celebrated. When I got 50 subscribers, I celebrated. When I got
Wow.
100, I celebrated. When I got 200,
Mm-hmm.
every little milestone, I
Yeah.
would just celebrate because I like it's like little tiny progress.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, yeah. So most of the time, as you mentioned, like you need to come from a place of passion
Mm-hmm.
because to be quite honest, the money in media, it's like a little pyramid.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a very exponential curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most people down here are making nothing, 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 nothing. And then
Yeah.
it goes, "Phew," and there are very few that are like raking in millions.
Yeah.
And of course, there are algorithms and all those things which you can learn if you want to. The thing is, sometimes you don't know what will resonate with your audience. You may try one, two, three, you may try multiple different topics or things, but what you'll find out is that your audience will tell you what they want.
Correct.
And then if you're doing it for business, then you have to kind of pivot and give the content that your audience wants. But
Um,
sometimes we are creating the content for ourselves.
mm-hmm.
When you're creating content for yourself, you just block your eyes about the money because it's not about the money.
Yeah.
For example, um, when I first started doing my blog, right? So I was writing recipes and releasing them on tasteofsouthsudan.com.
Mm-hmm.
Those recipes were more a collection for me and my children and my sister's children and my cousins, so that those who are not in tune at home with their parents can have a place where they can go learn how to make South Sudanese food. So that also means that sometimes I will be doing a recipe that is not going to be popular with the whole world because it is a food particular to a particular tribe,
Yeah.
but it is there for history documentation and history purposes. So if I do something like that, that is a project primarily to benefit myself. So as they say, when you create art, even if you alone are the primary, if it brings happiness to you yourself, it is worth doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, because if you focus that you are doing something for money, you will lose because you won't see money sometimes for a very long time. And sometimes it
Correct.
becomes a pet project. So if you're just looking at it as a business, then yeah, you probably will quit very quickly because
Yeah.
you'll find out that you're not getting that money that you thought you wanted to get out of it.
That's a good point.
So for many of us, our art, our releasing our art, the focus is primarily something that brings us joy and happiness.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, when you decide you want to do your podcast or your YouTube or your blog, you have to dig deep down within yourself and find out what your motivation is.
I was just
If
thinking that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
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 no,
go ahead.
that's so true. And to add on to what you're saying, Noella, is I know this may be a lot to think about in the beginning, but you have to have a entry strategy and then what you're doing in the meantime and then an exit strategy. So I've heard podcasts that only existed for two seasons or three seasons, or
Mm-hmm.
people start YouTube channels and they're about a specific thing, or if they're documenting their journey to Brazil or different
Mm-hmm.
parts of the world. So it's also okay to tell yourself, you know what, I'm doing it for this amount of time, or I'm doing it on this specific topic. And then if you want to pull yourself away and pivot to other things and still keep your community, that's okay as well too. So you have to know where you're at, be realistic about your schedule, be realistic about what you can actually handle as well. I think that's important because there's a certain level of life planning and also content planning that kind of goes hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
And once you sort of can establish a routine between like your life and what you have going on, and then also your content and the community you've grown, I think that's a good space. It's not always easy, and a lot of content creators don't talk about that. Don't talk about the balance between your personal life and the community you're building. And
Yes.
sometimes it can be hard to achieve, but it's definitely possible. You can do that by managing your expectations, being realistic about your goals, and also asking for help. Right, asking for help,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's from your sisters, your brothers, your partners.
Mm-hmm.
Ask someone for help. Funny enough, early on when I started podcasting, um, one thing that I've been learning with audio is like mixing and mastering. So I used to ask
Mm-hmm.
my partner, "Hey, can you do this part? I've already edited. Can you just do the final mixing and mastering?" Until now, I can do it myself, right?
Yes.
And it's okay to knock on someone's door and ask for help. So, yeah, there's certain tips and tools. It doesn't all have to be overwhelming. It should definitely be enjoyed, and that's what I want to emphasize on. That's why we're here today, how you can enjoy creating these spaces and these communities and creating this content, because it shouldn't be like all the time. So yeah.
Yes, yes. If you're just joining us,
Yeah.
I am Dr. Nawala Moga. This is Kiden Kii. I
Hello.
am the founder of Test of South Sudan, and she's the founder of Junibia
Girl Talks
Girls
podcast.
Talks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we are sharing tips on how to create your own content, your own media.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go ahead and give some other tips that I have gathered.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned how you asked your partner about the audio, media, and mastering.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I was going to pay a service for it, right?
Nice.
Because I just gave up on it. It was too difficult for me to master audio, leveling, modules, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any professional tool for it. So I just went ahead and I paid a company, and it's like a two-step process.
Mm-hmm.
I create my content, finalize it, then I upload the audio, ship it to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah. Outsource.
I outsource it, they
Good.
level it on the computer.
Yeah.
I download it back into my file and then I upload it to YouTube.
Yeah.
I do those for videos that I really want to have good audio on. And to me, those are the YouTube videos. Those things are such productions. Did you know that? But when it comes to just my regular TikTok, Facebook, all those things, just click record on my cell phone or my tablet and I go with it and
Mm-hmm.
I don't do more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um,
I have a question for you
yeah.
when you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so being in the South Sudanese media space, right, for
Yeah.
as long as you have been, how do you? I'm always curious to know, like, how other creators stay inspired. How do you stay inspired?
Well, I've had periods. I think to me, my mental health is very important. If I'm not feeling good, if I'm stressed out, if I'm dealing with something, I just withdraw. I withdraw from the space
Mm-hmm.
completely
Yeah.
and I go to refuel my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One big source of inspiration for me is when I go to South Sudan.
Wow.
And I've managed to do that almost every other year to every year. And when I go there, it's like light bulbs going everywhere. Content, 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 content,
Wow.
content. To me, it's just a different world. I get reconnected to my roots. I see um, there's always change also, right? Um, I can now that I'm in this space, I can see so many different angles for me
Mm.
to create something because my interests have widened. Instead of
Mm.
just food, I look at vegetation, I look at plants, I'm looking at the mountains, the nature, I'm looking
Yeah.
at cultural dances, I'm looking at systems. Like I did a video on how residents in Juba get their water delivered to them.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't even released that yet. And then I even just take video of the city, right? Juba, my city, to
Yeah.
post. So I find that
Yes.
there's endless amount of content. And so when I'm immersed with my people, then I
Mm.
get so much inspiration
Yeah.
because I feel like this is too good. I can't keep this to myself. I
Yeah.
have to share this.
Yeah.
I have to share this. And that fuels my passion.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I want to add on to that as well is like what I took away from what you were saying is being on the ground or having a connection with the culture, right? And I think sometimes for us diasporans, no matter where we are in the world, it's so important to either create a connection with the culture or maintain your connection with the culture because it actually does fuel you as a content creator and just as a person, just as an African, just as a person from South Sudan. So always maintain your connection with your culture. As a content creator, it can definitely fuel your creativity for sure. And that's one of the things that I also had to learn doing the podcast is okay, what conversations are we having that are important? You know, what's
Mm-hmm.
going on the ground
Mm-hmm.
that's important to people right now? Who can I connect with that is a voice out there that we can bring on the podcast as well?
Yes.
And I want to take this moment to shout out Kiden and Irene Lassou and Vibe Magazine also in Juba for featuring us. And we did an interview early on with Irene Lassou on Radio Mariah and also Vibe Magazine. So thank you for the features and supporting us early on. And these are the sort of connections and authentic relationships that we can want to continue building with people on the ground. Yeah,
Oh,
because
yes.
as we want to highlight things that are happening there, we appreciate them highlighting us as well. So it's like a beautiful exchange that I'm just a huge fan of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's like a dance. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a dance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I think the limitation of media networks, which by that I mean internet and mobile communication,
Mm-hmm.
that to me really tends to isolate our communities in Junub Sudan
Yeah.
from connecting with creators um, outside.
Yeah.
So the sector where I see this where I see this communication happening the most is music.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a shout out to Dynamic. The way you have gone back to South Sudan to uplift other young South Sudanese artists to create videos, to shoot videos right there,
Mm.
to do your festival, the Ruka Festival. We admire it so much
That's
because
beautiful.
you have shown us how musicians can collaborate with each other.
Yeah.
So in the same way, I think we as content creators, we can also collaborate with
Yes.
each other.
Yeah.
We can learn from each other. We
Mm-hmm.
can perhaps hold events together.
Yes.
Um, yeah, like I have to say, yeah, like for example, um, a week and a half ago, I interviewed Juliana Siapai, the owner of Authentic Siapai Products, and
Shout out to
that
Jules.
was amazing. I had so
Yeah,
much fun.
that
I
was
was
a.
laughing the whole time.
I know that was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Juliana's amazing.
All right. So Census says, what is the advice for up and coming podcasters?
Thank you for
Hmm.
the question, Census. And thank you for always supporting the podcast too, Census. We got to get you on one day, one day soon. Um, what is advice for upcoming podcasters?
Uh huh.
So, the first one I would have to say is reach out for help. If you see someone doing something And if they seem approachable, send them an email, send them a DM, send them a comment or comment on one of their posts and say, hey, I want to get into this. And, I have a couple questions. So we're always available. Grace and I are always available for, DMs, comments, emails, and things like that. So even if you see someone doing something else, whether it's YouTube or music or anything, try to reach out to them. I know sometimes content creators, it's like we get so many messages and comments, and it's your stuff may be missed out. But I guess essentially what I'm saying is reach out. Reach out to someone who's already doing it and that you may be inspired by. And then my other tip is take some time to actually learn. So if you can't get answers from the person you reached out to, you can just do a research. I think sometimes the worst thing is to just kind of put something together and not know what you're doing. But if you have some sort of foundation, even a small one, then you can just kind of build on that. And I love that that's how we started. It was like a small foundation of getting things from here and there and then building on that. Never be afraid to expand your knowledge base. If you don't know about something, don't be afraid to jump into it. I mean, I didn't know anything about audio engineering and all that stuff, and I just kind of dived into it. And now I can say that I know enough to produce things. So definitely reach out for help, senses, and research. Do your research, and make sure that you set aside time to actually work on your project. Right? If you treat your project like it's just something on the side, then it will be something on the side. If you treat your project like, you know what, this is important to me and I want to see it become something, then it will become something because you're treating it with that love and care, right? And I think that's really important. And that's a journey that I also had to learn creating things throughout the years is how do you treat your projects, right? Do you treat them like they're just a come and go? Do you treat them like, you know what, I want to see this seed grow into something great that other people around me can benefit from. So yeah, those are just some small tips. If anyone else wants to know some more tips, you can definitely reach out to me or Noella. And I know she could tell you about video because she's great at YouTube. Feel free to reach out to us and ask us any questions. We'll be more than happy to share, right? And that's part of collaborating with artists or content creators. It's just the sharing of information is so great. We're in 2022 and there's enough space for everyone.
Yeah, which is what we're doing here. Yeah. So thank you so much for bringing yourself here to have us in one space.
Yeah,
recording an episode.
This is dope.
Oh my gosh, we gotta celebrate. We gotta celebrate
yes,
this.
Yes,
Thank you,
this is
sis.
nice. Thank you so much. Goodness. Yeah, this is beautiful, and we look forward to seeing the South Sudanese space as far as content creators and our stories being told over and over and over again. And we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going because there's so many more stories that need to be told. Yeah, you can look forward to really great things from us and the podcast space, and also Noella. I know she's got a lot of great stuff.
Oh yes,
in the works, and we'll be interviewing you soon too. So.
I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
Okay, awesome.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah,
and bring the shoe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The living room.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So, in the meantime, while Kiden goes on an errand to bring something we need, I want to talk about shea butter. So, we launched Taste of South Sudan shea butter, 100% pure unrefined shea butter Nilotica in Juba a week ago. And the launch has been awesome. We've had 66 orders filled already, and I want to shout out each one of you who bought something. Thank you so much for trusting and believing in me, in my story, for believing in Taste of South Sudan. It means so much. I have to thank my family, Jabe, Jua, Daddy, Mommy, um, Umbi, Wingas, my siblings. You guys have done so much in helping me get my dream out on the ground. It's just one way in which you start out with a media company and then you move into a product, something that you're passionate about, and then you present it so people have something tangible in their hands to remember Taste of South Sudan by. So this is our shea butter Nilotica. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Look at the design. Taste of South Sudan shea butter and Arabica.
That's beautiful.
Let me open one. That's it, yeah. Soft, smooth, melts on your skin. So this is now available in Juba, South Sudan, and we can deliver by bus to Uganda. And it's also available on www.shop.tasteofsouthsudan.com. And it's also available on Etsy, on our Etsy shop. So Taste of South Sudan is becoming global, and I am really excited. It's what started out as a pet project, right? Is now tangible, it's
Yeah.
expanding, it's growing, and growing exponentially. So I couldn't be more happier with the launch. I thank all of you so much for supporting us.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. It's an
I
amazing
have
launch.
been on cloud nine, and I've been like, I can't believe myself. I can't believe myself. So now instead, it's our customers telling us what they want to see next, right? So
Mhm.
what more can you ask for as a businesswoman? Your customers are telling you, we need this one. We need this one. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Shea butter soap is coming, yo.
It's coming up.
Dilka bridal scrub with shea butter is coming. Shea butter sugar scrub is coming. Shea butter for hair is coming.
Nice. And you know what's so beautiful to add on to that is like
Uh huh.
you'll know when it's time to grow, right? Like you
Yes.
started with this and now you're going to add more things. And I think that's the same across the board with content creating or running a
Mm-hmm.
business. You'll know when it's time for you. Okay, you know what? I filled these shoes. It's time for me to grow. So
Yes.
it's so beautiful to see that on your journey as well. And thanks for including me as to be a part of it as well. So
Oh, I
it's been
appreciate
fun.
it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.